What's up, Devils? J-Dog back for another goddamn video. And today's video, we're going to be covering one that I thought was going to be a little juicier than it turned out to be. And it's the fucking carnivore racist video. Carnivore's racist, right? It's got 1.1 thousand views 8 days ago. So, definitely got some views. And but the comments is 77. I thought a lot of people would have a lot more to say. But, still pretty good. So we're going to go over those comments. And I kind of skimmed through because a lot of kind of like just people just commenting. It says no fucking real questions, just nothing really to respond to for the most part. So I'll try to get to the ones that are most responded. But first, I actually printed off a quick one that was the last video. If you guys remember the last one I just did that I went over. I kind of cut it short because the video was getting long. But I thought I saw this question there, and it was from Gorehound. He says, opinion on G.G. Allen. I thought that was one worth answering because there's a few people that commented on his, and it seemed like people wanted to hear. G.G. Allen, I'm not a fan of personally, but I'm a fan of what he kind of did. You know what I mean? The extremity and the entertainment side of it, I just thought was fucking awesome. And honestly, I think a lot of death metal bands and shit could take note. The only fucking band that seemed to take note in the metal scene was Anal Cunt, Seth Putnam. I mean, he was kind of like a fucking just a PG version of G.G. Allen. Gigi, I can't really say I've listened to too much shit. My buddy Dan Murrow and stuff, he's played some stuff for me or told me to check some stuff out. I've heard a song here and there. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. But a lot of them, I'm like, this I don't like at all. But the extremity of it and the shows and shit like that, yeah, I think that a lot of these death metals, because it's funny, like death metal and black metal, it's super extreme, right? It's supposed to be super extreme. But yeah, then you just got a bunch of fucking lamos going on stage. And some of the guys are just literally fucking stand there. They don't even fucking headbang. So it's like, how fucking boring is that? It's like they could have taken maybe not going out to the point where they're fucking, what are these, throwing shit out in the crowd, punching guys, maybe not to that degree, but maybe like a more dumbed down version to where, interacting with a crowd, maybe stirring some fucking shit. I think that, take a fucking, page out of his book, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like anyone got the fucking memo. So all you guys in fucking bands, start fucking doing that, goddammit. Something to like, something, because it's nothing else. It's fucking entertainment. And when you go to a show, just in the thing, it's a show. It's supposed to be a fucking show. I don't want to see some dickheads just standing there. And at the most, it's just some guys shaking their hair, right? It's like, come on, put on a motherfucking show. Now, some bands do. Ghoul does. Ghoul does a great job putting on a show. You know what I mean? There's bands that do it. But very far and few in between, right? So some bands, they have their own persona, like Cannibal Corpse. I don't know if it's just because it's my favorite band. I always thought they have like an energy to them, like they're just always entertaining. And it could be just because I know the songs real well, but I've heard other people say it too. They just have, like, people that aren't a big fan of them. I've heard say it that they're just like, yeah, they just have like, I don't know, just like a kind of like a capturing fucking energy to them. I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. But so them, they don't need to do the kind of like G.G. Allen thing. They have their own shtick. But most of the bands, it's like they're just not doing shit up there. They're just up there playing, and it's like, oh, okay. And if you've seen them, you've seen them. That's it. You don't really need to go anything from there. So yeah, I could take a fucking tip out of fucking Gigi's book. So that's what I think of them. From Ryan Idzerda. Don't think I've ever seen you comment on this, brah, but I thought this was a pretty goddamn good question. J-Dog, good videos, brah. Keep it up. That's the plan, brah. One every day, 6 a.m., motherfucker. Question, you already covered the fuck out of Krisiun, but you didn't really give your thoughts on the later albums. I love the first 4 or 5 albums, as they are essential classics, and I need to get the HHR vinyl reissues, especially Conquerors and Angels. You sure do, brah. Anyways, actually, we didn't even do Angels. You talking about Angels Funds, you probably meant Conquerors and maybe Black Force or, I'm drawing a blank, the second album, my fucking favorite one. The second fucking album, Apocalyptic Revelations, that's probably what you meant. Anyways, what are your thoughts on the later stuff, like Southern Storm, Assassination, Great Execution, Forged and Fury? They are obviously not as good as the classic albums, but pretty fucking solid in my opinion. It's funny because, yeah, that's kind of what I say. Is a lot of guys, like, I know guys that, like, yeah, all the later Krisiuns after Conquerors fucking suck. I definitely have to say I disagree with that. So my general rule of thumb is, yeah, the first 3, the ones we did on vinyl, those are definitely the best. Ageless Venomous was the first one they put out I was really disappointed on, and I didn't like it at first. Going back to it, my official opinion on Ageless Venomous, I actually think the songs are really good, and I think Alex's voice on it's fucking awesome. It's more like the Apocalyptic Revelations again, where it's more like kind of like a mix of Glenn Benton, but like low pitched in a sense, as opposed to like a little like higher, I guess, not as low and fucking guttural in a sense on Conquerors Armageddon. because his vocal tones on all of them. His vocals kind of just change a little bit on each album. In a sense, he kind of almost goes back and forth. My favorite was always the Apocalyptic Revelation version, and his vocals are like that on the Ageless Venomous. The songs are really good. They're really catchy. The only problem is the triggers sound like absolute fucking dog shit. It was definitely too fucking polished, so they needed to fucking muddy up that production a little bit more and get rid of those horrifically sounding fucking typewriter triggers. Other than that, the songs are great. Works of Carnage was the one after that. Was much better. They cleaned up their fucking act. They got the memo. The fucking production on Ageless was fucking shit. You're not Iron Maiden, motherfuckers. You don't need to put out this overly polished shit. This is death metal. It's supposed to be a little raw. So what them is, because I've met them several times, really, really cool guys, hung out with them. You could just tell by talking to them and stuff, they get this vibe like they're their own worst enemies. Like they get in their own, like a lot of bands do. They get in their own fucking way. They hear something like, yeah, it needs to sound better. It needs to sound better. The drums don't shine through enough. It's like, dude, it sounds fine. It's fine. Leave it the fuck alone. Don't clean it up more. Death metal is supposed to be a little raw and muddy. And it's funny because I know for a fact that they're fans of like Sarcophagus, Iron or Eye. Great albums, classic, greatest of all time. Does that sound all polished? Well, no. It's like, well, why the fuck does your shit need to be then? It just doesn't need to be. This isn't, like I said, you're not Iron Maiden. No need for it. Leave it the fuck alone. So anyways, Works of Carnage went more back to like production like Conquerors, and still very good production, but not that overly. So Works of Carnage was awesome. Assassination, it's actually Works of Carnage. What was after that? That was the EP Bloodshed. That's good. I think the song Slain Fate is really good. That's kind of was almost like their first song that wasn't blast from beginning to end. It was almost kind of like that, kind of like a catchy song in a sense, where it was like more mid-paced. They threw blasts in it, but I thought Slain Fate was a really, really good song. That was kind of like their first non-blast from beginning to end song. And then after that, I think, was that the next one, Assassination, or was it Southern Storm? I forget which one came at first. Assassination, I do like it. It's got a couple parts, I think maybe where they sound too... There's a couple parts I didn't like, but for all in all, the album was good. But definitely a couple parts I didn't like. I didn't like the whole layout of the album and cover art and shit. It definitely too fucking modern and Adobe Photoshop-ish for me. Definitely didn't like the feel of that. Southern Storm, I think there was like one song I didn't really care for too much. I thought it was a little weird that they covered a mid-tier Sepultura song where they do like Refuse, Resist or whatever off KSAD. I think that's the song they did. All in all, good album. Southern Storm, I remember Alex's vocals being more in the fucking, like I said, the Ageless Venomous and Apocalyptic Revelation style. That's what I remember fucking for Southern Storm. But all in all, good album. The only album I don't like, so like Great Execution was good. I thought the last album was Scourge of the Enthroned of the Scourge, or whatever the hell it's called. I own every single album too. I think I own an LP and CD of every single one. I definitely own at least a version of album. There might be one I'm missing on LP, but I think I do own an LP of every single one. The only album I didn't like, which is is the second to last or third to last, was the Forged and Fury. I own it. What is it called? Forged of the Fury, which I have it. I remember it being like, I go back and listen to it, but I've listened to it probably about 3 or 4 times, and Alex's vocals are almost like more of a thrash tone, and I remember like this is I didn't like, and then they did an album after it. Is either Great Execution came after, but definitely Scores and Throne. I was like, oh, this is much better. But yeah, I would say that's the only album I don't like is Scores and Throne. And I don't think it wasn't so bad that I got rid of it, but it's it's kind of complete the collection. But to me, that is definitely by far their worst fucking record. But all in all, they're a very solid fucking band. £1,000 asking about worst remasters, remixes. I kind of answered this question. I think the video should be out now. Talk about the re-recording. So that's kind of like remasters and remixes. Nothing really comes to my mind on that, but the re-recordings, and I do talk about that. So that should be out by now, and you should have my answer on that, brah. So like I said, I thought there would be a lot more. Maybe even at least I was kind of hoping so that there might be some pissed off people coming in up on this fucking video, but not so fucking much. It's funny, yeah. Human Brisket mentions it's like it is funny because I mean all the smart people see through it, but a lot of them. He just mentions how we did the Black Death LP and how people call it like some people still consider us racist and elitist and all that shit. It's like guys, we did a band fucking Black Death. No, that wasn't intentional. Like, well, that's a cover up. What? Like Chase was at like Sicky's house and shit when we made the deal. Like ask Sicky. Fucking he's an older fucking devil. If he thinks any of us are fucking racist, like it's just fucking stupid. Like no, we're not. Like we signed metal, and some metal talks about topics that are maybe like inappropriate in 2022. You know what I mean? I guess that, but it's metal supposed to be extreme. If there's some fucking racial slurs or whatever, that's on them. That's their fucking problem. But and if black, if there's fucking bands that got like Black Death, and if they're making awesome fucking awesome metal songs, and maybe hell, if they threw in some homeboy lingo, we're like not signing them because like don't care what they say. It's a freedom of fucking speech. They can say what the fuck they want. So, but yeah, it is fucking funny how it's like you guys deal with Satanic War Master, deal with them. It's like we also deal with Black Death. So what the fuck? It's like it's just funny how it's with all these fucking dickheads that like to cancel shit like that. It's a one-way street. They only see one way, one thing, whatever they're deciding to look at. They don't see like, well, bro, dude, look at the whole fucking picture, like before making a stupid ass fucking statement like that. So yeah, Human Brisket saw through the BS too, and like I said, I think a lot of the intelligent devils are honestly, to me, it's just if you're a true fucking metalhead, you would see through all the bullet BS because you know what metal's about. It's supposed to be fucking extreme and intense. Carpet and Corpse, goddammit. Thanks for another video. Cool video, J-Dog. Question: are you into Messiah Death, Necrophile, Transgressor? What about the classic Japanese hardcore / punk stuff? You know what's funny? All those bands is all their stuff got reissued kind of in the last few years or whatever. I think Necrophile was the first one. And every time I always knew all about those bands, and maybe I had like a CDR of like a rehearsal or something that Don gave me. Remember Messiah Death, Don always talking about them. And it comes out, I'm like kind of like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. And I put it on, I'm like, kind of bored. You know what I mean? It's great for the time. But to me, it's just like bands like that. It's just bands like whether it been like fucking Incubus or Necrovore, the kind of like the more known, and the demos I grew up on that time, like that's all they did was a fucking demo. I just thought they were so much fucking better, and it's just like these were kind of like the leftover bands in a sense. Granted, some leftover bands or some that have never even been done, to me are fucking great. But a lot of times the leftover bands are like, well, why has this ever come out like 40 years later? It's kind of like, oh, it comes out and you hear it, you're like, now I see why. You know what I mean? As opposed to like stuff that came out and was bootlegged multiple times, like say the Treblinka demos. Same time frame of like, Messiah Death and shit like that. But to me, Treblinka is just way fucking better. So it's kind of like that's why, it was bootlegged so many times and so many people wanted it. I don't think any of that stuff sucked. I remember Necrophile for me, I thought was the boringest. The best out of all, I probably liked Messiah Death the most. I didn't dislike him. I'm just kind of like almost let down. Oh, it's finally out. It's finally out. When I finally sit down and listen, I'm like, it's okay. I was like, come on, maybe heard it a million times at this point. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the reason. But I mean, it was solid 80s demos, metal underground shit. As far as hardcore punk stuff from Japan, I don't know if I'm trying to think of anybody. Yeah, I was never really big on that stuff. I've definitely heard shit. I'm just like, Japan in general, I mean, I definitely like stuff. Like I brought up Sabat and Butcher ABC, and there's bands from Japan I do like, but as a whole, Crowley's good. There's not a whole lot of bands I like from Japan. Metal Lucifer's great. I mean, there's bands. Don't get me wrong. I definitely like bands from Japan. I'm not saying that, so don't fucking put words in my mouth, goddammit. But as a whole, it's not like United States or Sweden or fucking Australia. We're in South America, where it's like there's a band after band after band after band. I can just keep going on. It's like there's a handful, maybe like from I don't know, maybe 10 bands that I really like or care about from Japan. Maybe slightly more, slightly less. Somewhere there. I wasn't always like I don't know, the Japanese scene, that didn't do a whole lot for me, and especially not the punk. Yeah, I'm trying to think, is there even any punk bands from fucking Japan that I like? You know who I kind of do like is a Misfits Wish, but it is poppy and it's kind of, fruity, is a Balzac. But they, don't get me wrong, they and the fucking Devils, that band sucks. They have songs where I'm like, what is this track? This is horrible. But they had some very good misfitty fucking catchy kind of like Famous Monsters, American Psycho type style Misfits worship songs where I definitely like some of their songs. But they're kind of like, it's definitely not what you're talking about, kind of like crust punk type shit. I know they're kind of like a fruity fucking poppy fucking punk band, but I do enjoy some stuff. But I actually own a few things too. But they definitely have some fucking stinkers in the goddamn catalog. I think they some of the tracks, don't they have some like those industrial parts to it? I'm just like that's when I was kind of getting, no, this shit's horrible. But they definitely do have some good songs. I can't deny that. At least for me. This guy's kind of answering a similar question. Nick W. Hey, J Dog, longtime HHR customer. That's what I like to hear. Blah, blah. Appreciate it. 666. First time commenter. Not sure if you answered this already, but are you into any crust, as in crust punk at all, or any punk for that matter? Love the videos. Keep it up. You know what? Like, who do you guys consider like the kings of crust or crust punk? The answer to the question just in a simple terms, not nobody that's coming to my mind. But do I like some punk? Yeah, I like the fucking Misfits. Some dead. I mean, I like actually everything about the Misfits. Negative Approach is hardcore. Dead Kennedys. I did a video. I actually started out one of my earlier videos. I talked about non-metal stuff. I listened. I put punk stuff. I mentioned I like some of the Balzac stuff. Vladimir's from Ohio. We did that. Vladimir's Late Hours. I really like that. I like everything by the Vladimir's, but we did the one released by him. Lurking Corpse is a mix of Misfits with fucking heavy metal with death metal. It's cool mix. Them a lot of Misfits worship bands. American Werewolves from How I like them a lot. So there's bands, but as far as the crush shit, yeah, I'm trying to think of who would even be the leader of the pack. But in general, yeah, no, that definitely wasn't a style that I got into. Yeah, what I mean, like, yeah, nobody's coming out. All the bands, like, yeah, no, it's everything I kind of heard. I'm just like, eh. But I mean, yeah, who would be considered like the kings? Like, who's the Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel? Top three death metal bands, biggest ones. If you're talking to like some outsider, who are some of the biggest death metal bands? First bands you can probably mention is Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Deicide, Suffocation, Immolation, Incantation, bands like that, right? Who are the kings? Who are the leaders of the crust? I don't even fucking know. I think the shit I heard was kind of just more maybe underground obscure stuff. So I don't know. So maybe some of the kings, the leaders of the pack, maybe I've never even fucking heard. Because yeah, whenever I heard that style, I'm kind of just like, eh. You know what I mean? Metal Musician 6996, goddammit. Hey J Dog, had a question about your brothers. I know you said your first show was Death, but I was curious on what your older brother's first metal show was and what was Reaper's first metal show. So Eric and Chase, yeah, they started going to shows like 1 or 2 years prior to me. And I want to say their first show, I know it was our cousin that took them. I don't even think they drove at the time, but they were like, so their first show, I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. And my first show, I was 13. Like you said, was Death. I'm almost positive their first show was Overkill. So that probably would have been 96 or 97. So what is that for Forever? The Underground and Below album? Sounds about right. Don't call me on this. If you want the correct answer, ask them. But since they're on their own goddamn channel, I guess you're asking me. But that's to my knowledge. If it wasn't Overkill, it was that Overkill was definitely first, second, third show. Because I know that was an early one they went to before me because I thought that was cool. And I didn't get to see Overkill until first time I saw Overkill was in the early 2000s. I know that. And I just saw them again, last month? First show that Reaper went to. Don't know what it is, but I know an early show he went to was an Iced Earth show, a Destruction show, and whichever one it was, a very, very early one, he went and me, Eric, and Chase, for whatever reason, didn't go to the show. Maybe it was because I know Craig liked Iced Earth a lot, Nevermore, and other bands I didn't care about as much. I've seen Nevermore a couple times, though, in the early 2000s. And maybe it was Destruction I wasn't at. But anyways, there's the ongoing story. I don't know if it's ever told publicly, but it's whatever. It's kind of funny. Is that's the first time he met Don from Nunslaughter. And the three of us weren't. So Don knew me, Eric, and Chase, but he kind of like just met us maybe like a few months ago. So he knew us, but didn't like know us. You know what I mean? It was kind of like Jim introduced us and shit like that. And anyways, so we weren't there, and everybody knew when they saw us. They kind of like I told briefly, like anytime back then, I found it quite a little, I wouldn't say annoying, or I wasn't mad about it, but a little bit annoying, is that no one really knew our first names. They just knew us as the Metal Brothers, the Horrible Brothers, the Brothers of Brutality, whatever. Just like you were lumped as one. So if one guy wasn't there, the rest weren't, or one guy said something stupid, you were like condemned for it. It's like, what the fuck? I wasn't even there, man. He said it. I didn't say shit. Like, we're individual people, right? So shit like that was a little annoying. And anyway, so they just assumed there was the three of us. So anyways, Don saw Craig there. He goes up to him. He's like, hey, man, how's it going? And the Craig story goes like this. Craig, oh, hey, yeah, you must know my brothers. Oh, that's cool. What's your name? My name's Craig. Oh, well, I'm Don Nunslaughter. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Cool. Yeah, tell your brothers I said hi. That's the Craig story. The Don story is this. Don comes up to him. Hey, dude, who are you? No. Yeah, Don's story is goes up to Craig. Craig turns. He's like, hey, man, how's it going? Craig turns around. You don't know me. Immediately turns around. His ponytail hits fucking Don in the face and just back to him. Don's just, okay. Well, I guess I'll leave. And that's it. That's Don's story of the first time he met Craig. Whose is true? Who knows? I wasn't there. That's how it went down. But I think that was at a destruction show. And yeah, I wasn't there. So, but I'm pretty sure that's Reapers. Something. Iced Earth Destruction. I think it was something like that. But again, you have to ask him for complete confirmation. Goatman asking me, any thoughts on zines? Are they still necessary? Do you wish there were more zines? I personally don't, buy zines, read zines, or nothing like that. Just because honestly, because I kind of don't have time. But I see the need for it. I mean, if you're a fucking devil that just, you have a 9-to-5 job and, maybe you're single and have a lot of time on your hand and all you do is collect metal and shit. You go home, throw your keys on the fucking table, and between 5 o'clock and whatever time you go to bed, 10, 11 o'clock, you got nothing else going on. I could see fucking putting on some tunes, reading zines, drinking a beer. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like your lifestyle. I get it. You know what I mean? So I think they're cool for that. I mean, and quite frankly, yeah, that's all there was before all these fucking stupid ass fucking phones and Instagram and Facebook and all this other dumb shit. So I'd prefer them if all that crap went away. But I just don't personally read them because I just time. You know what I mean? From Evan Wilson, UI Dog. Do you like Lord Gore? I love their cover of Empatago's Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue. Also thoughts on bands like Lividity, Gut, and Cockaball Torture. Love Lord Gore, especially the first album. Both albums are fucking great. They got reissued in the last couple of years as a double disc, but I have the two original discs, and I've actually been talking to Billy Razorback last week about us doing the Lord Gores on vinyl. He says he owns the rights to the Frightmare stuff, so that's looking pretty promising. As long as somebody has materials, which when people don't, I'm not shocked. Which I'm kind of like dumbfounded how they don't, but I'm not shocked because I've heard that a million times. So as long as people have materials, they'll pull through. There's a good chance we'll be doing the Frightmares. He said he doesn't own the Lord Gores. He doesn't have a contact with them, which is a little weird. But I'll keep asking around and try to get contacts with Lord Gore. Definitely want to do the first two on vinyl. The only two. Well, no, yeah, they did a comeback album. I remember not liking the comeback album. The comeback album was what was that, like later 2000s, and I did listen to it. I'm like, don't really like it. First two are great. And it's funny, Breakfast at the Manchester Morgue, the cover song they did, that's fucking great. I loved it. They even did their own little different intro as well. Thought it was very, very good. Was a huge fan of it. And what do I think of bands like Lividity, Gut, Cockaball Torture? Lividity, I like Fetish for the Sick, and Age of Clitoral Decay is good. Was the Rejoice and Morbid Blasphemy or whatever one of the demos? That really early shit, I definitely like. It's good stuff. Later stuff, it's funny because I heard it years and years later. I think like 2 years ago or so, I listened to like a later album. Like this don't even sound like Lividity. Wasn't a fan. Early shit, good stuff. Gut, it was okay. They didn't do much for me. It was kind of like I was late to the game to them, and I was kind of like, more of this, where it's kind of like I'll just listen to Last Days of Humanity or something like that nature if I want to listen to this style. Definitely didn't suck, but Gut didn't do much for me. And Cockaball Torture, that was a good band. The split with Disgorge was fucking great. The Sato, whatever the fucking first album is, I have that's his day, good shit. And fuck, that'd be awesome to do an LP of that too. I mean, dude, it's funny because I remember when Cockaball Torture was kind of like first made their way to the scene. Let's say like 2000, 2001, in the whole Brian Baxter shop, Brian Baxter area, just that whole scene, that brutal death scene. Dude, you were almost kind of considered a poser if you didn't pick up the new Cockaball Torture. And that's just kind of like I'm not saying I agree with that because I don't, but it was just that was the vibe in the air. Remember even Kanye when he'd rip on Baxter, and just whatever, anytime he'd be like, "Yeah, is Baxter around? CBT's Bruno, Brown." That's what I would always say about Baxter. So what does that have to do with anything? Just because he'd always, but Brian was always on like, yeah, CBT man, yeah, fucking shit. And he did bring him to his Ohio Death Fest, and I got to see him live. I got pictures. I don't think I met the guys. Didn't get my pictures with them or anything, but got photos of them. Did like them live. I will say this: the vocals didn't shine through, which I wasn't too surprised. It was kind of just like they just seemed like it was low vocals and not the fucking sloshing vocals. It seemed like he couldn't do it live, which it was disappointing, but I wasn't surprised. So live, they were good, but it kind of like that one guy asked the question, who's a band you saw you're kind of looking forward to and disappointed? I was slightly disappointed with them, but glad I seen them, and I did enjoy them. I know they did later albums, like a second and third album. I don't know them. I know the first album. I know the split with Disgorge, the split CD with Disgorge. They did a split 7-inch with somebody too, didn't they? Was it with? I think I have that as well. I think I own like 3, maybe 4 things by them in physical format, and I like everything I have. But when they carried on, I didn't continue. But what up? I mean, what's the fucking main CD I have? It's what the fuck was sadomasochism or some shit like that? Yes, Opus 4 or whatever. Oh Pussy 4. Is that like Oh Pussy 4? I don't know. This is the main thing I know and like. And to my knowledge, this has never been on vinyl, and I would be totally up for it. You know what's funny is because I think Eric and Chase kind of like CBT, or at least they're like, that's okay. I don't think they're big fans, so that's probably why it never. That's probably why. Oh, look, guys, boobs. All the guys that are inside joke. For anyways, it's never been on vinyl, so maybe that's kind of why it's never been brought up. Because like myself, I like it. I'm just probably like, Eric and Chase probably won't be too into doing it, but I think they might be now because it's kind of like, I mean, what year is this? Like the 2000, 2001? That sounds about when it came out. These lamos put the year on it. This is SHR 2004. So this is not even the first one. They do one before this. This is the main one I know and I listen to. But anyways, coming out on vinyl, I think it'd be kind of like, I think it'd go over really well. Like a lot of devils, like, fuck yeah, CBT on vinyl. It's like I said, unless it has come out and it just never came through Hells, I don't own a vinyl for it. I've never seen one. So if it has, then I'm out of the fucking loop and I just missed out. But if it hasn't, I'd be all for it. But again, it's like, well, why don't you just do it, J-Dog? It's like, well, because who you got Cockaball's email contact? If so, I'll contact them. But again, that don't mean shit either because he'd be like, well, what label put this out? Shredded Records. Shredded Records. I don't know. Are they even still around? I don't know fucking anything about them. They own the fucking stuff. And you go to Bobby, and then Bobby lives in the fucking Northern Islands or some bullshit. You can't even get a hold of him. And then it's like, well, who has files? Well, we don't have files. So it's like, dude, you guys are a bunch of fucking idiots that can't even get your shit together. So first step is getting in contact. Second is they say yes, and you come up with an agreement deal. And then third thing is, do you actually have the motherfucking materials? And then we could fucking do it. So those stars all have to fucking line. But I'd be totally up for fucking doing it. Not just that, I'd be up for doing other stuff for them. But probably, since this is my favorite, the one I know, I'm an LP, starting with an LP of that. But I remember really liking the tracks of the split CD Disgorge Mexico with Cock and Ball Torture. I remember the Cock and Ball songs on that are really good too. Grave cover. I mean, Disgorge does a Grave cover. Does Cock and Ball do a cover on there as well? I can't remember, but I remember Disgorge definitely covers Grave. And there was it 2 or 3 originals. It's been a little while since it's got like a little simple fucking digipack. It's right behind me, but I don't feel like pulling it out to be honest with you. But I remember the tracks. 3 or 4 tracks from both bands, though. Those are really good too. So that's what I fucking think of them. Just almost on the 30-minute mark. So gonna cut it there, fucking devils. But as always, leave the goddamn comments. The whole fucking bits. Questions, comments, subs, all that fucking shit. Do it all, goddamn it. And I'll see you tomorrow on the fucking morning. Later.